The house was drafty, a telltale sign of autumn in the air. I had my work cut out to get this place sealed for the winter, not that I officially needed to anymore. Everyone in Screaming Woods stayed far away from this place. Thanks to a Halloween punch gone wrong, I'd become the stereotypical ghost in the manor. The creepy old man who lived in the haunted house. No, I was the snake man in the shadows. Rising on my tail, I lifted myself to the second floor and quickly hammered a shutter in place for the coming cold winds. It didn't take long before the second and third floors were completely boarded up, especially as I didn't need to keep climbing and moving a ladder. This was the only maintenance I did on the house nowadays. Otherwise, snow and leaves would find their way into the house no matter how tightly sealed the windows were, and considering I was cold-blooded now, I needed to ensure the house stayed as toasty warm as possible or run the risk of falling into brumation. Picking up my tools, I slithered back to the shed and tucked everything inside before heading into the house. It was dinner time for most, but like my reptilian kin, I didn't require regular meals. Once a week usually sufficed for my kind, but after spending so many years like this, every few months became my norm. I usually went into town and splurged on a big meal, but lately, more and more humans had been making their way into town, and the lingering looks were becoming far too frequent for comfort. It was easier being a monster among monsters, but with this new subdivision outside of town going up, more humans were claiming Screaming Woods as their home, completely oblivious to its dark and monstrous history. So I slithered into the shadows and stayed there for everyone's comfort. I was used to the loneliness by now. Instead, my nights were spent working. It was all I had to occupy me, although everything was done remotely. When I was first transformed, I'd run the company through phone calls, which was easy enough when I didn't need to sleep. I learned my lesson that winter and ended up in brumation for months before awakening in spring to find myself covered in dust. After that, I learned everything I could about myself while working as best I could remotely. I built my company into a billion-dollar business, allowing me to step back more and more. The board was interested in my removal. I was, after all, the reclusive billionaire CEO. But if they knew the truth, they would be glad I had stayed hidden. I was a freak, a monster, a predator, and I was better left alone. Settling into the nest I'd made in the living room, I pulled my laptop out of the blankets and flipped it open, losing myself in emails and reports. As I scanned through numbers, a creak drew my attention to the door. Quickly shutting the screen, I hid it in my nest and slithered to the hallway to check.